welcome everybody to the second part of the Para-guided expedition. I am Toby. I am a trail guide, the head naturalist, and just a dude for the most part. Strii?
I'm Strii. I'm the para-profile creator. I'm a naturalist and a trail guide. Yeah.
I'm Caesar. I am a junior trail guide, which means I am learning how to teach myself. And I am also a profile creator. I wrote beauty in England and yes. Yeah.
Also, McNugget, can you give us a body length of space, please?
Yeah, we will be over here for the duration, for a large portion of the class. So, over here. Just a moment while I pull up my notes. I love how my internet decides to be painful right when the class starts. Fine all day, except right now. Love it.
Give us a body length of space, please. Like, don't come right next to us.
Yes, preferably a body length, maybe two.
Like, behind the rock. Right there.
Thank you, guys. Or whoever did that. All seeing Manta Ray. Okay. So, a few things before we get started. First of all, welcome everybody. Second of all, please only use group chat when you are asking questions. Otherwise, do not use it for casual chat or anything similar. If you feel that your question has gotten overlooked, or if you are exclusively attending via the stream and not in game, you can use Expedition Chat to ask your questions. We will also be looking in there as well. Is there anything else I need to cover before we get started?
I think that's about it. Yeah, they don't have permission to talk anymore, so no worries about people unmuting.
Yeah. Okay then. First things first, no spam calling. We forgot that. Please do not do any kinds of calls.
No calling, period.
It's perfectly fine to do it, like, on accident, but please do not do it any more than that. Okay. So, first things first, we're going to cover Parasaurolophus guidelines. Because this is a beginner-level expedition, we will be covering the profile in its entirety. We'll be going over everything. We'll be answering any questions. So if you have any, feel free to ask, as I mentioned. Now, getting into it, we start with the guidelines. Parasaurolophus are huge, crepuscular, and terrestrial. So huge is the second largest size class. So the only thing bigger than us are Titan-sized creatures, which currently there's only one, Argent. We are crepuscular. So if you have any questions about these terms, by the way, you can check in resources. I will be defining them now as well, but that is also an alternative place for you to look. Crepuscular is a form of cathemeral, which basically means that you are active at all hours and you have no set sleep schedule. However, for crepuscular creatures in particular, they are most active at sunrise and sunset. And as for terrestrial, well, I mean, we aren't aquatic, I'll tell you that much.
That was hilarious, Toby. Thank you.
What?
What?
You said we aren't aquatic, I'll tell you that much. I was like, thank you.
I was wearing my shit cut out. I'm sorry. Okay. Moving forward with the guidelines, we finished with the general information. Now on to the engagement limits. So there's an engagement limit of 1 subadult per engagement. So that means if paras are challenged or if you are hunted, only 1 subadult/adult may be involved. An exception to this is in the case of offspring being attacked. So this would be like your children. So if you are a female and so like let's say one of these little baby paras, you guys are my babies. You are my babies and your dad is Strii. If one of you got attacked by something, both Strii and I would be able to defend you. Now if you are an adoptee, so you don't have parents in the herd, you can only have one defender. So those are the engagement limits for para. We'll cover those a little bit more in depth later when we get to the hostility and threat reaction. Let's see. Sorry, I gotta get back to it each time, every time I go to check chat. So, yes it is. This is a learning opportunity. So, paras form roaming groups of unlimited subadults/adults called a ramble. Roaming basically means that we typically stay on the move. We will stay in one area for maybe a day or two. This is enough time for you to rest, to eat, to court and nest if you want to. And then you just move on to a new area. You're just kind of migrating around. A ramble may have an unlimited number of offspring and adoptees, so pretty self-explanatory. And paras are polygynous when nesting. So this means that one male mates with many females. They may have up to 3 offspring every 3 hours during wet season, 2 offspring every 4 hours during dry season. Onto dimorphism, we'll cover this a little bit more in depth once it's daytime and not foggy. But the crests of male Parasaurolophus are brightly colored. We'll touch on that more, as I mentioned. And we prefer plains and forest biomes. That basically means that if you look at the map found in resources that depicts all the biomes, just a moment, we prefer the areas that are basically any of them that are not red or the yellowish kind of color. Or no, any that are just not red. So we don't like arid areas. That's mostly concentrated around the eastern side of the map. So that would be Hoodoo Expanse, Stego Mountain, Broken Tooth Canyon. We don't really like those areas. Most other places are free game. However, I recommend looking at the biome map for further information.
How do you put it in expedition chat?
Thank you, Hattie. I appreciate it. Are there any questions about that? About the guidelines? I'll give it a moment. I realize I am talking a bit fast. I will slow down. Please be careful of sprinting. Many tiny babies. You might trample one. There is food behind everybody, in case you did not see. There are also little water pots. Even if you are a baby, please be careful of sprinting. Since nobody seems to have any questions, yes, we do not like arid areas. We prefer forest and plains. And you can see the biome map for what areas are what.
There's only one bush here.
What? Oh, did it reset?
Yes.
So those areas are basically what we call intermediates. They count for 2 different types of biomes, and yes, they'll be placed down shortly. So if using savanna as an example, it's arid and plains, meaning if you have either of those as your preferred biome, you can court and nest there. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Preferred biomes, for species that are territorial, you must have a territory there, but otherwise all species must court and nest inside their preferred biomes.
Yeah, so para couldn't court in strictly arid biomes.
Why is somebody hunting here?
What?
Hold on.
Oh my god. They died.
Cool.
It was Dominic the nerd that died.
Goodness gracious. I did not have this issue last time. And there is a Sarco hunting as well.
What?
Yes. Smart. Hey there. Are you aware there is currently an ongoing guided expedition?
Yeah, everyone, do not go over towards them. Stay in the area. If you ran over there, you need to come back.
Yes. Now, back to the dasps. I hope they enjoyed that body.
Female pairs should not be defending adoptees if they have offspring. She can get... Someone's on combat timer again. Female pairs can get confused about which kids are hers if it's the heat of the moment, and if the adoptee, like, slipped into her group of babies, she could defend it too, as per profile, but... Yeah, I mean, she won't, like, leave her offspring to go defend an adoptee. They don't adopt as much in the general sense.
Okay, I'm going to teleport them away.
Female pairs shouldn't really be having adoptees unless they're an older matron, because they really only care much for their own kids. But technically, yes, she can protect adoptees. Only one adult may do that.
Yeah, feel free to move forward, by the way.
They're kind of just accepted into the herd, but are more, like, expected to learn rather than actually be adopted and cared for. Like, you can call, but you're not going to be, like, actively caring for them unless you're, like, an old female who doesn't really have clutches of her own. We'll be going over dimorphism later, Mooney.
Okay, anyway. Hello. Okay, anyway. Apologies for the delay, everybody.
You might want to make an announcement that this is a safe zone or something.
Yeah, Knives, can you do that, please? Or Hadi, whichever one of you. Either way, apologies about that, everybody. Yes,
Paras have
adoptees.
unlimited herd limits.
Yeah, anybody can be in the group. It doesn't matter. So, moving forward, we're going to start with the general behavior now that we have finished going over the guidelines. First and foremost, about para behavior. So, paras are super vocal. They call incredibly often, and their horns, you see the big part on the head, those are primarily used for communication. I think the announcement kind of glitched out.
Yeah, it cut out.
Awesome. I love that.
Should be fine. Pretty much. It wouldn't be a rule break anyway.
Please keep casual chat, not in group chat. This is only for questions.
So yeah, how being super vocal, as we mentioned. Generally, this could be so you're just kind of doing your generic call pretty often, especially in the company of other paras. You know, you're just kind of chattering with each other. Don't do it now, obviously, because we don't want a ton of calls. Occasionally, especially if you're like migrating or something, you could do your broadcast. Another thing that I've seen people do is, so, as some of you probably know, Para does have quite a few vocal abilities. So those are Stampede, Gutsy, and the Coagulating Call. So, with these in mind, besides Gutsy, Stampede and Coagulating Call are group buffs. That means they apply to your party members as well if they're close by. So, while I'm not saying that you can't use them, it is important to be situationally aware, because you may accidentally buff your group mates right before they go into combat or something. If you're familiar with Engagement Rule 2E, you can't buff your group mates if you're not involved in an engagement, before or during. So, while I'm not saying you can't use them, you should probably be aware, like, oh, are there carnivores nearby? Okay, I probably shouldn't be using this call because I might accidentally buff somebody right before they get hunted.
Is it possible to clear the fog so I can do a dimorphism demonstration?
Yeah, there it goes.
Okay. So, we had to skip over this earlier, but the dimorphism for para is males have brightly colored crests. So that means this big long horn on my head should be colorful if you're a male. We do not have physical dimorphism otherwise. Some people have been a bit misinformed in terms of like males having longer crests and females having shorter crests. That is a species difference in actual, like, paleontology. They do not have different crest sizes in life.
Yeah.
Well, for the different sexes, at least.
I know that I have a shorter crest, but it's just because I like it. I like that.
Yeah, so you could have a male with a little curled crest or a female with a super long one. It does not matter. So that's why. You can be colorful on other parts of your body. You just have to have a bright crest. So would anyone like me to do a little skin judging?
Oh, Stride's horn is bright green. It may be the lighting.
Okay. If you want me to judge your skin, just come over here. Sorry, it's like hard for me to tell. Reeves is male. I cannot judge babies because you do not have your skins. Kalmia would be female. Ixora would be male. Tors is female. A little bit dull maple tail. I would preferably tone up the color a bit, but
I think it's the lighting. I think it's fine.
No, I think it's still a little dull, but that would be male in my opinion.
I still think it's male because it does contrast.
No, it does not, Shiloh. You don't judge by crest size.
Mine is female, yes.
Minx is female. Oathkeeper looks female. Again, I am not judging babies. You do not have your skins. Shmoo Shmoo is male.
What does not count as bright? No. When you're talking about dimorphism, bright is in the context of being brightly colored.
Karmasine is female. So do we have a general understanding of what male and female would be? Okay. I see a little bit of nodding, so I think it's okay. If you're ever unsure about your skin,
What in the
someone
Okay.
oh.
A Twitchy accidentally tail attacked. It's okay. Yes, white works in the context of species that have contrast related dimorphism. So that would be like
Yudi
Eukaryanus, for an example.
and Strii. It doesn't necessarily need to contrast your body, but it's preferred if it does. Yeah, because it stands out more. Like, did I just hear someone attack?
No.
Okay. Like, if it's blue on red or like green on black or something, that would obviously stand out more. If your crest does not have color on it, like bright color, then it would be female. Yes, Taco, they should not be considered as a mate. Do you want me to show examples of like a bad male skin or?
Yeah, like you did.
Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna randomize it. Okay, can you skip my shed?
Yep.
Okay, well my body is colorful. My crest is not. It's just contrast, as you can see. Let me find a different one. Okay, do it again.
Yep.
This also does not have any color on the horn. I would do female, but I am not female and I don't want to change it. But could you find... I think bronze skin has color for female, Toby.
Yes, it does. Just a moment.
Give me 1 second. I'm changing my back.
You're good. I have a bright pink crest.
Oh, yeah, okay. That is a man, even though that is technically female skin.
Melanistic is not a good choice for male para, neither is albino, because the crests are completely blended with the body. They have no bright colors on them.
It might be fine for female, but if you use any crest with like any skin with a dull crest, then you're going to be seen as female and no one's going to court with you. So I would recommend following dimorphism. Please. Sorry if you can hear my dogs barking. They're being fed right now.
That's alright.
You shoved me back. I don't want to look like this.
Oh, I forgot. My bad. My bad. Okay, so now that we doubled back on the dimorphism, we can return back to the general behavior. As we were saying, paras are super vocal, so this just means, like, especially... we'll be covering a little bit of Lambio, but as I stated in the expedition announcement, we will be covering its relationship with para. Melanistic female or albino female are yes. Though the albino female may be...
Males shouldn't really be breeding with albinos because they're seen as sickly. And, like, if you think about it, males wouldn't really want to expend energy mating with someone that is, like, seen as sickly. Like, they'll probably not produce good kids or take care of them well, you know? I mean, you can be selective with who you want to mate with, Twitchy, but, I mean, if they are following dimorphism...
You are never obligated to mate with somebody. I will say that, like, if you don't want to court with somebody, you don't have to. Though, like, I wouldn't necessarily, like, not court with somebody just because. I would have a good reason for it. So, like, somebody not following a dimorphism, that is a perfectly fine reason not to court them. So, like, a male wouldn't want to court a female that has a bright crest. He'd be like, "Ooh, are you a man?"
He would think it's a male intruding on his legs, so no, you would not be courted with.
A female wouldn't want a male with a dull crest because she would think that he is unhealthy looking.
Because color takes energy to maintain, and if a male doesn't have color on his crest, then he's going to be sickly and just viewed as female.
Quartz would not necessarily be seen as sickly, no. Or at least
Okay.
I would personally consider it to be.
We'll go over albino behavior later.
Yeah, we will go into depth about albinos and how they are treated in herds. Don't worry. We will get there. We will be covering the profile in its entirety, rest assured.
Okay, is that enough? You could.
Have their crest dull over time.
Yeah, that's fine.
I remember here. 1 second. Let me.
You could also do the damaged subspecies to show aging, because it kind of has a more damaged crest. Gets a bit bulkier.
I'm a man now. So, one thing that we saw from last expedition, was, I recall there was a male that was using the meleagri skin. And so let's say I'm a bright young male. Look at my crest. Oh my goodness. And maybe did I just hear a metry?
It was probably the lucky mount.
No, I heard a metry hurt noise.
Huh.
Anyway, sorry about that. So they're like, oh, as you get older, you could have your crest get a little bit darker. So you see how bright it is right now. Let's say I'm getting a little bit older. It's a little bit harder for me to start maintaining all that color. Oh, it's getting a little bit darker. And as I'm getting older and older, my crest continues to dull, and now it's starting to lose some of that color. And because I'm old and I'm not able to maintain that bright color anymore, females may not be as interested to mate with me.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
that is a good way to show aging, if you wanted to.
Please don't casually chat, by the way. We will take care of any creatures that are running around that aren't supposed to be here.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll cover it.
It technically can, Ixora. It's up to you if you want to just dull your whole body.
It is entirely up to player discussion and what you want to do in roleplay.
Okay, is that enough questions for dimorphism?
No.
Let me look at you. You're female, right? I mean, you still got color on you. I think you're fine.
Yeah, no. Your para is only considered old if you wanted it to be considered old.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people use the damaged subspecies. It doesn't necessarily make you old.
Yeah, no.
But that's something you could do for roleplay if you wanted to. Okay, well, I think that's enough on dimorphism then. It's a lot more questions than last time for dimorphism.
Your para is only old if you consider old. You have agency over your own characters.
Mm-hmm.
If you made your para yesterday and you wanted to play it like you were an old man, that's all fine. You can do it. It's up to you. Of course, we encourage having your own story and everything, but we're not going to police that. You play how you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as we were saying, okay. Any last minute questions, specifically about dimorphism?
Yeah, we would prefer that questions be held until we're finished with a section. We can say, are there any questions regarding so-and-so? Just so we don't have to constantly be cut off,
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to assume not, so we're going to go back to the general behavior. No, the skin meleagri is not considered old. I was just giving examples of how you could show, if you were aging on para by having your colors fade out a little bit.
Do you want me to show another example real quick, just because I'm looking?
Oh, yeah, sure thing.
Okay, just get my shed real quick. So I got this big, bright orange crest. I'm very healthy and young, but let's say my male's getting a bit older and I want to switch up his crest color a little bit. So shed me again. So you see the orange has dulled into more of a brown now. It's not going to be as attractive for females. But that is one way you could do skins aging over time.
Yeah. No skin is inherently considered old. Again, it is mostly for roleplay purposes and your enjoyment as you as a player. I would not automatically assume somebody's character is like old or something. It's best to infer through roleplay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I think we're done with dimorphism now.
Bit.
Gonna kill someone, Toby.
Maybe on purpose. Anyway. Okay. Assuming everybody is all good, let's go back to the general behavior. As we were talking about, so paras are super vocal, as we mentioned. So I already covered about the being careful when you're using your buff calls, just because you might accidentally buff somebody before an engagement. But overall, just being vocal, you can show this through a number of ways. You know, just using your generic call, especially if you're in a herd. You could broadcast if you are, say, like you're migrating. When you're going up to another pair, you could give them a little two call. You're just being very friendly. Because paras are herd animals, they are just very friendly overall.
Mm-hmm. Just be careful not to spam call. Like, if someone broadcasts, you don't want literally the whole herd going and doing that constantly, because it gets quite loud. You probably want to do a broadcast, like, just every now and then. Like, don't be doing it constantly, because we are very loud. Here, I can move on to leadership if you want.
Oh, we haven't talked about how they're very clean.
Oh, okay. So...
If you do accidentally buff a group member before an engagement, should I put it in global to stop the engagement? Or would it be easier to just make it into a self-report? The water is over by Howdy, Mapletail, and Reeves. Honestly, I am not sure on that one, Shadow Wolf. You can self-report yourself if
I don't
you
think
like
you
to.
should talk in global. I mean, the buffs do wear off. It's just, you know, you should always be aware of it. I would just recommend having Gutsy since you are solo in engagements anyways.
Yeah. Paras are super vocal, like I said. And this is because they have the big old chambered horn that I pointed out earlier. Paras maintain this horn very, very carefully. It's important and it's vital to their socialization. If you have a damaged horn, like say your horn got damaged during a fight or something, you could show this by being quieter than usual and not being as vocal. And this could be interpreted as strange behavior by other paras. You could be considered sickly because of your injury.
Mm-hmm. Another thing you could do to roleplay out having a damaged horn is cutting off some of your calls. Like if I broadcast, maybe I can't do the full broadcast. I don't think you can cut off 2 call, unfortunately, but like if I was being really short with my talking or something, you have to have a... How do I explain this? So you have to have an ability that is not assigned to an attack. So let's say I use middle click for attacking sometimes, but I don't have it on my para, and I can use the middle click to cut off a call like this. And you have 8 ability slots, so you can just assign it to anything you don't want to use.
Yeah. You can use any attack to cut it off while you're sitting.
Mm-hmm. Because you're not attacking anything.
So as we said, paras take good care of their horns because they're very important to your socialization. Please, no more testing cutoff calls anymore, please. So, and overall, paras are generally just very cleanly. They will, so as Hadrosaurus, they have thin, kind of sensitive skin. And so you can kind of show this by wallowing in water or taking dust baths in dry patches of earth.
Here, I can show a little bit of that while you talk.
So let's pretend like these rocks are water or something, and here's like a little patch of dirt next to some water. It would probably be muddy, realistically speaking, so your para would be like, ooh, mud, love mud, let's go! And would, you know, kind of sit there, kind of roll around a little bit, and to show this, you can repeatedly sit, sleep, and do your little shake. This kind of is a way for you to role play out that you're rolling around in the mud, getting some mud on your skin. That's gonna help keep your skin from getting like irritated and overall just maintain your overall health. You'll probably enjoy scratching on trees as well, you know, getting rid of
you can scratch your horns, but just do it carefully. Like, you probably want to X walk up there and like you can do a little shaky moat. Just do it very carefully, because you do try to take good care of your horn, not, you know, bump into things carelessly. You can attack things if you are pressed, but generally you want to avoid using your horn if you can help it. So you'd rather kick or bite instead or something.
You can use whichever head attack you want to. It's just, you know.
No, you should not be ramming your skull into rocks.
If you want to do that, you can play Becky. So, you know, another thing that you can do is you could, like, if you're walking through a kind of dense forest, you could kind of lower your head and walk a little bit slower to avoid getting caught on any branches or anything.
Or you could walk around a tree rather than through it.
It's the little things, you know, that kind of enriches your experience. But yeah, overall, you just take a lot of good care of yourself. It's important to take care of yourself and just maintain your health. Make sure, especially if you are male, because they care about that horn and they care about their appearance, you want to make yourself look like a good mate. Because if you're not pretty looking, well, no female's gonna pick you. And the whole goal is to get as many females as possible. Would we allow Struthies and Latins near our horns to clean them?
I don't know, honestly. I would say you can. You just want to be careful, like, when offering it.
Yeah.
Like, you could show, like, oh, that was a sensitive part. Oh, wait, I didn't mean to forecall. And you could, like, look away from them and shake a little bit and be like, hey, watch that, buddy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think it's fine to allow them to clean them.
Well, you could, again, have it up to player discretion. You could have your para be, like, extra touchy about their horns, so you may not like if any kind of preeners try to come over to you. Oh. Careful.
You generally shouldn't be McNugget, because they're trusted as groomers.
Yeah, I would not do that. Especially because paras aren't, like, super aggressive, generally speaking. At least not physically.
If there was like a Latin near your kids or something and you worried about them hunting, you could try to like body block them, but I wouldn't show aggression unless they were like not taking any hints.
Yeah, you could get up and walk away.
Females can be, but if it's a thing that is like trying to groom you, you would just allow it to usually, unless you were really feeling touchy about it or something.
Females are generally pretty tolerant of smaller species in their space. It's mostly mediums, larges, huges, etc. As for questions about the server, you can ask questions if you go into the help category, we have a questions channel. And you can also ask more like profile related questions in the profile questions channel. Just some general like kind of para tips, ways to express how did para react to an origin, they probably wouldn't care. I mean, yeah, they don't really have much of a reason to interact with each other. So, moving forward, the general behavior, there are just some general tips and tricks, especially for when you're paying para. What are some ways that you can express para emotion, okay? So, a big thing for paras is they like to sneeze. They like to sneeze. Sneezing is a way for them to express that they are happy or they're content, or it's also a tension reliever. We'll explain that a little bit more in depth soon.
It's also how they generally greet each other. Like, if your paras are familiar with each other, then they'll go up and sneeze at each other to say, like, we're buddies, hi.
Lots of two-calling. The sneeze is the question mark emote on your vocal wheel.
But let's say I'm a new para to the herd and I walk up to these guys over here. So they would be walking up to me, kind of sniffing me, looking at me, just investigating. One way I like to roleplay out kind of sniffing is cutting off the sneeze early. And if you are chill with my para, if you like him, then you'd sneeze to accept each other. Yes, it's the question mark emote. And you would do that for any new herd mates. If you didn't like them, you wouldn't sneeze at them, you just walk away. Generally, you wouldn't do that unless they were acting kind of weird, not being outwardly friendly, or if they were like an albino or something. Pairs are generally like pretty accepting of anything else. Okay. Does everyone get the sneezing thing? If you're being attacked, I would just call instead, because that's more of like an immediate, like, oh my god, someone please help me. We'll be going over solo behavior later. It's something on our notes. So pawing at the ground is used as a like sentry reaction. If you see something, you'll paw at the ground, kick towards your herd mates, tell them like, hey, there's something right there.
Yeah.
But I also like to use it to display like uncertainty or I want to move or something.
Yeah,
just being restless
is a great way to draw attention to yourself. Because it has a few different meanings depending on the context. Context is always important when you're looking at body language. So, let's say, like Strii mentioned, when a para spots danger, like a potential threat, they paw at the ground, and then they kick. Or, as Taito has brought up, pawing at the ground, in combined with more other flirtatious behavior, is a way for females to be like, hey, I want to court. So overall,
they would be doing it right next to a male rather than like away from them, just so they know that they're courting.
Overall, it is just kind of a way for an individual to call attention to themselves. We're like, hey, I'm nervous, I don't want to be here, kind of thing as well. Like I said, context is always important. Another way that you can show that you're uncertain is you could kind of like pace around a little bit, maybe hang your head low, do occasional little shakes are ways that I like to do it. Pacing.
If you're nervous, you can get up on your hind legs and look around. I like doing that just to like get a better vantage point of my surroundings.
Especially if you're like keeping an eye out for something, like maybe you heard something like walking nearby and you're like, ooh, what's nearby? Whoopsie, didn't mean to kick. You'll get up on your hind legs and probably look around, maybe find a vantage point like a hill to stand up on and look around. Sneezing and two-calling are good ways to show that you're happy, you're content. No. Schizophrenia is a human, is it a disorder? I believe it is.
Yes, it's
Do not give your animals disorders, especially ones that are
Yeah.
explicitly like human disorders. It can be considered insulting and generally not good when you're covering sensitive topics.
Yes, it's good in courting. We'll go over how to court
Yeah.
and everything later, so please just try to reserve
I would
questions for the respective categories.
Yeah, we will be covering everything in the profile, like I mentioned. When we ask about questions, try to keep them mostly relevant to the topic at hand.
Mm-hmm.
I promise we will be going over a lot of stuff, don't worry. Your questions will probably be answered, or we'll find a spot where they are relevant. So don't worry, there is a time and place. Some other ways to express emotions on para, something important to keep in mind is like how do you express irritation? A lot of people just go right to three calling. I would avoid doing a bunch of three calls. There are other ways that you can show irritation or aggression besides just three calling. So, for example, you could just kick, like mock kick at something, okay? You're unhappy, you don't like it, you'll probably walk away from it and kick at it, and maybe, shake your head a bit. It's a good way to just kind of shake things off. You cannot get your limbs ripped off, not in pot.
Also, please hold questions until we're done with demonstrations. We'll ask if anyone has questions about something afterwards. Just please let us finish what we're saying so we don't have to keep stopping.
Another thing you can do is you can lift your head, especially if this is a form of posturing. So if you're unhappy with something in particular, like say there's like something getting into your space. So say you're a female para, which are generally more standoffish. If something gets in your space, like let's say an Alberta has come a little bit closer to you, and you're gonna be like, hey, don't like you, maybe kick at it, lift your head until it leaves your space. Alternatively, if you're especially irritated, you could get up on your hind legs. This helps you appear bigger and more intimidating, especially if you combine that with lifting your head.
Mm-hmm.
That is a great way of intimidation. And again, just kind of kicking when you're unhappy. Those are all ways that you can show displeasure when you're a para, besides just three calling.
Another thing I want to go over, while females are stubborn in maintaining their space, you should be using body language instead of outright three calling unless they're like actually attacking you. If they're not getting the hint, obviously you can three call. Like let's say you've kicked at them, you're lifting your head, you got on your hind legs and you're like shaking your head and they're just not paying attention, then you could three call them, get the message across a little clearer. But don't just immediately three call unless it's like a carnivore or something getting right next to you.
Yeah. We generally recommend focusing on using body language instead of just immediately using your calls. Um, it's kind of just a realism thing. You want to make sure people are mostly focused on conveying through body language rather than just immediately three calling. Three calls should kind of be like a last ditch effort almost to convey your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Are there any other questions about like how to act out specific, I guess you could say, emotions or moods in paras? Yeah, you can definitely shake to like shake off your tension.
Another thing you could do is sneezing to kind of relieve the tension.
Yes.
Especially if you're a herd mate and you saw two of them kind of getting in a light scuffle, you could go up. Sorry, I'm trying to kill a spider. Okay, he just disappeared.
Yeah, that's good.
Something I like to do is just like shaking, kind of pushing them with my body. Like, let's say Toby's a baby and I want to try to get her to move. Just kind of doing that and F calling at them to say, like, I want you to move a little bit faster. I mean, if you are actually getting attacked, then you would obviously stand your ground. Males tend to be more timid. They're not really instigators of conflict if they can help it.
Yeah, we'll cover that a bit more in depth. If you saw a huge carnivore, you just four call. You four call and you run.
Yeah,
You are
we'll be
not
going over.
aggressive to huge carnivores at all, but we'll cover that.
We're going over hunting and threat reaction later.
Yeah, we'll be covering every part of the profile. So don't worry.
Yeah, you could shake if it's raining or something, or if there's snow around. Maybe you try to seek shelter until it's over.
Or maybe you're passing through an arid area and you want to kind of like shake off dust or something.
Please keep questions relevant to what we're going over. We'll be going over each section. We're on general behavior currently.
Yeah, though we're about to finish up with it, I think.
Yeah, we're just.
Are there any more questions on the general behavior? Just how you should generally be acting?
Okay, I think we're done with that.
I'll give it just another moment. Some people are slow typers. That's okay. Okay. So, now we've covered the general behavior of paras. We're going to move on to the intraspecific behavior. This is just generally like, we'll cover that soon. We're about to. Okay, so intraspecific behavior. This is how you interact socially with your herd mates, with other paras. So, just how. We cover general behavior. That's stuff that you'll generally do, and your intraspecific behavior is how you interact with other members of your species. I'll let Strii cover majority of it.
Okay. So our herds are patriarchal, meaning we are male-led. So typically, the leader of the group is going to be an older, more experienced male. He's gotten to know his way around. It doesn't have to be like an actual elder male. It can be just an adult male that's kind of learned his way around things. But we do not have a designated lead bull, so we don't have one male that's doing all of the leading. It's more just whoever steps up to do it, you'll follow. So let's say we're at a rest stop and I want to draw the herd's attention. We're moving. My male can get up on his hind legs and broadcast, maybe scrape at the ground a bit, show that we're moving. And pretty much anyone can take on this responsibility. Anyone can lead, so long as they're a competent leader. Competent just means that you're not like leading the herd directly into danger. You're not leading us to barren lands or going like straight into an arid biome or something. You're actually leading us. You're not like constantly going back. You don't know the way. So if you are taking charge of the herd, I would recommend being a bit more knowledgeable about the map. In the case of a competent male being absent, a female can take up the job if she is experienced enough. Like, it could be a matron, it could just be a normal adult female. Just if there is a male that can actually lead properly, follow him instead. It's kind of more of a last-ditch thing if you're following a female.
If there's
like
no one to lead, you'll follow a female, but generally you would prefer to follow a male. They're the ones that know migration paths best.
Yeah. Subadults would not be considered experienced, by the way. If they still have their baby markings, that's a baby. They should not be leading the herd. Yeah. Leadership is fluid, like I said. Sorry, I'm just going through my notes right now. While we are roaming, we do need to rest properly. We need to make sure we're not on the move constantly. We are crepuscular, so we like to be most active at dawn and dusk when it's cooler out. So you can show this by courting more often then, or you just try to lead the herd at these times. Basically being most active at these hours.
Yeah.
At the peak of day, you're probably more likely to sleep, lounge around a little bit. Same with the middle of the night. You can rest whenever technically though.
Yeah, especially as crepuscular creatures, a lot of, like Strii mentioned, we are more active active at dawn and dusk. So a good way to do that, besides like courting more often, socializing more often, males, if they want to take on the patriarch role, they could have the herd move at dawn and dusk. So like, let's say you're a male, you want to lead the herd, that sky turns pink, and you're like, okay, let's go, it's time to move, we're more active, let's go. But it is important to make sure that there is a balance between rest and migration. Migration takes a lot of energy, and you don't want to stay on the move 24/7 unless you have to. You're probably going to be staying in an area for at least a day or two. This gives you time to rest, to eat, to court. You will probably only be pushed out by lack of food, predation, or other kind of similar factors. But yeah, try not to stay moving 24/7.
Yeah.
No, there is not. Not in game, unfortunately. Oh, can baby parrots get zoomies at dawn and dusk? Yeah. It's cute. Do it.
Again, please remember to hold questions until we're done with like a specific part. I can give some kind of indication when I'm done.
We'll ask for questions. Don't worry. Which, speaking of, are there any questions about paras being crepuscular?
Or any questions about like males leading?
Yeah, the like what is like patriarch kind of stuff.
We'll give it a minute.
Yep.
We don't have sleep schedules. Crepuscular is kind of treated like cathemeral to an extent. You just want to be more active around dawn and dusk and kind of sleep whenever, though. If a male is leading the herd does not agree with their decisions, how would they show that? They would just start following another male, whoever will take lead. Or if no one is taking lead, then a female could try to rally them.
Yeah.
Both males and females are all bad doing their job somehow. That just kind of sucks then. They just follow whoever is most competent. They can travel or rest at night. They're not obligated to do either, though. If there's a male and he does not want to lead, can a female step up, or does he have to lead? If he's not showing that he's competent, then a female would step up. So if he didn't actually want to lead, then a female would just see that and be like, all right, I'm taking charge instead. We'll go over more of that later, Mooney.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. Although, I mean, they're not obligated to lead. No one is obligated to. But if he's like the only male in a herd or something, and he's not stepping up to lead, the women are gonna side-eye him and be like, okay, that's a little weird.
Yeah, females like a competent, confident male who has shown himself and like proven himself to the herd. So if a male has consistently shown that he is not confident, that he is not competent, they may be like he may not be their first choice.
Even if he is a handsome man. All right. So it's up to females to maintain the integrity of the herd, just protecting babies, ensuring overall health of everyone. They're generally more stubborn and standoffish than males. So if there's like something next to them, let's say there's like a sty approaching me or a packy that's being annoying next to me, I'm going to be more likely to kind of show that I don't like him. Like I might shake at him, lift my head a bit, maybe stamp my foot a little at it. And if it's just ignoring me, then I can outright 3-call.
So yeah, females are more standoffish. You can show this a few ways, like Strii mentioned, being a little bit more protective of your personal space. If you are like, so let's say we just invited a new parrot to the herd, okay? A new parrot just showed up, And, I'm a female, I'm more standoffish, I may be a bit slower to warm up to them. Females form most of their bonds with their own relatives, and especially female relatives. And so they may be a bit colder, more aloof towards strangers. Like, if you two call me, I may not two call you back.
You gotta warm up to me first, spend a little bit of time. That's how females bond.
Huh? I'm sorry, I don't understand what you mean.
What is shementing? Again, please hold questions until we say so.
They would probably just ignore him entirely. McNugget.
So I said females maintain the integrity of the herd. They protect young and kind of ensure the overall health of it. We'll get more into that. So females take more time to be friendly with one another. They're more likely to just kind of give them the cold shoulder until they're actually comfortable. You can do this by just kind of hanging out with them, spending more time with the herd. Maybe if you're feeling a little more confident as a newcomer, you can get up to this female and just hang out with her. And if she is fine with that, she'll just kind of sit there, accept it. Don't be discouraged if people are giving you a little more time to integrate yourself. It's just female behavior, especially. It takes more time for them to warm up.
Some females can be more bossy or assertive than others. Ways that you can show this is you could be extra slow when it comes to warming up to others, or let's say, pardon me for a moment, I'm gonna be heading over to the bushes. Oh god, this tiny little baby. So, let's say there is another para that is eating from this bush over here. Pretend this baby is not a baby. I would probably just kind of gently come over and maybe kind of shoulder my way through so that I can eat. It's a very kind of subtle gesture to show hey, I'm a bit more assertive. I want the best resources. Now, if say I just shouldered past another female, she might not take this super kindly, and she'll be hey. And so females tend to kind of get into little staring matches with each other. These can be pretty tense. It's not really outright shows of aggression, because as we mentioned, you don't want to really do that. Oh, sorry about that. Thank you.
Let's say Toby and Reeves' paras are getting into a bit of a standoff. They're staring at each other, neither is really kind of stepping down. My male might come in and try to sneeze to reduce that tension, just kind of say, "Hey guys, we don't need to fight over this. There's more bushes around." That's one way sneezing is meant to be used to kind of reduce tension. You can do it after being hunted as well.
Especially by males, because they do try to make sure the herd stays peaceful. They try to reduce conflict, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Females are not openly aggressive to one another unless there's repeated offenses. So Strii mentioned earlier about how you only want to 3-call if people are consistently ignoring your body language. And if they are still ignoring that, well, I probably wouldn't attack them or anything. I would probably just say something in chat and be hey, my para's being aggressive toward yours because you keep getting in my space or whatever else.
Well, even then, females should only be 3-calling as a last resort. Let's say I am just constantly bumping into Toby, getting in her space, and she's giving me many body language clues that I can use. And I'm still just coming up to her, being all friendly, and I'm not taking her hints. And I'm bumping into her side and everything, then she might start getting really fed up with me. Yeah, if someone 3-calls you, you should definitely be backing off. You don't want to get to that point. But make sure that 3-calling should be a last resort if someone is bothering you. Any over-aggressive female will get pushed out by the females.
Yeah, you don't want to be super aggressive. Paras are herd animals, and so generally just being social and friendly within the herd is what matters. You don't want to be super aggressive.
Okay, let me look at the notes again.
If it gets to a point, can you attack them? Like, if they ignore everything.
At that point, I would just say in chat, like, hey, you need to pay attention to what I'm doing. Because they should not be escalating to violence. If they keep pushing, then I would consider that a profile break.
Okay.
In that. Oh, yeah, we're open for questions about female behavior, by the way.
Oh, you can, if it comes down to it, you can kick them out of the group if they are consistently ignoring body language and generally not behaving within profile. We'll get to courting eventually. We're not there yet. It doesn't really escalate to bites or nibs. I think the worst would probably be like a little tail swing. That's it, if even then. Or maybe a mock bite, but you wouldn't be trying.
You're not trying to actually hit each other.
Yeah. Generally,
they're not really standoffish towards males unless they're like actively bothering them and ignoring their body language.
Generally, you're more standoffish to females, but you could you could be a little bit more hesitant with a male, especially if you're new into a herd. But you don't really mind them as much as you mind other females.
Yeah, let's say my male is like coming up to Toby and he's kind of new to the herd, trying to shake against her, you know, being like overly friendly, and she does not like that. Yeah, she might like walk away and kick at me. And if I'm not getting the hint, she might try to like raise her head, stand off a little bit.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be super aggressive, especially toward other members of the opposite gender.
Adoptees are just kind of treated as regular herd mates. They're kind of tolerated more since they're just dumb babies, but if they are actively bothering you, you can do the same thing.
How females react to albino individuals? We'll cover that momentarily. Do you want to cover older males and females?
Yeah.
Okay. Females first.
So, since just as older males are regarded as patriarchs, older females are regarded as matrons. So, matron is any older female in the herd. She's kind of earned her way, you know, learned about the world. She's got not more say necessarily, but she's kind of earned the respect of everyone. They all treat her like, that's just grandma.
Yeah, remember how
she knows her way around things.
Remember how I talked about how the little subtle little pushing behavior if you're at a bush or something? Matrons might do that a little bit more often, kind of throw their weight around.
And in the absence of a competent male, matrons are more likely to take up leadership temporarily until a good one arrives.
Generally, though, matrons mostly focus on aiding younger females. So basically, like, you're a matron, you see, like, maybe a female just had her first clutch or something, and, you know, she's clearly kind of confused on parenthood, not kind of sure what to do. A matron might come over and subtly kind of been like, oh, hey, you better herd your kids a little bit closer. So, like, let's say if Strii was a woman and maybe had a few babies falling behind, I might kind of, you know, give them a little nudge and then walk up and be like, hey, your kids, go get them.
Matrons especially do this with their own daughters.
Yes.
Potentially even grandchildren. They're very connected to their family and willing to help out with them. Matrons might also take adoptees under their wings since they usually have smaller clutches or none at all sometimes, might be more sparse. So they kind of extend their hand to any adoptees that don't have mothers.
Yeah. They especially do this with, like, younger females. So, like, let's say a quote-unquote yearling, a young female who hasn't really had any offspring of her own. A matron might, like, kind of take care of an adoptee alongside her, and this kind of gives this younger female some very, very important experiences and valuable lessons for once she has young of her own. Conversely, As we covered, patriarchs do lead the herd, lead the ramble. They lead females to food and generally just kind of take care of things. Hi.
Sorry, they were all the way at Grand Plains.
That's fine.
Ron's, just go join the rest.
Yeah, go ahead and sit about a body length away, please. Thank you. Appreciated. They stay in the herd. Paras have unlimited grouping. As I was saying, with patriarchs, they might also, so like a younger male, he might kind of shadow an older patriarch and just kind of like learn from him, like learn, oh, where are all the good food spots, stuff like that, stuff that he may not
how to kind of
how to
herd,
how to socialize with females.
Like, let's say a female's getting a little far from the herd, I might nudge her, and my male would look at an older male doing that and being like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or, you know, just generally, like, socializing with females, like, how to understand them a bit more. Courting in general.
There's kind of like an almost mentor-apprentice kind of dynamic, very subtle, just for some interactions between younger males and older males. Generally, though, like, those older males, those older females, they are considered established members of a herd. And so if a herd, like, encounters newcomers or something, it's those established members that will come up to greet them.
So, Vander, do you want to come up real quick to us so we can demonstrate? So, me and Toby, let's say Toby's a matron, I'm the patriarch currently. So, let's say Vander is trying to join the herd, we might, like, walk up to him, see, like, ooh, who's this new guy? I don't know who this is. So, we kind of look at them a little bit. Like I said before, you can cut off the sneeze to kind of imitate, like, sniffing. Usually want to do this around their face and nose, because that's more sensitive regions. And we'll give him a little time to, like, look at him, but if he's, like, too calling, being friendly, maybe sniffing, or not sniffing, sneezing to kind of reduce tension a little bit. Generally, if you're a newcomer, you want to be friendly, you know, make sure they're not thinking you're a little weird, because a quiet para is seen as a little weird. See, look, you just gave us a sneeze, he's all happy. So my male sees that and he's like, alright, cool, you're in the herd now. And males tend to be a lot more open to newcomers. They're pretty friendly overall, so maybe I'll give them a little nudge or something, be like, alright, you're part of our group now. Toby's female, on the other hand, might just give him a sniff and then walk away. Might give him more time to integrate. But yeah, that's generally how you introduce each other. And you can sneeze and to call and everything to people to show that you have good intentions and everything. And that's more how you bond and get accepted.
Now, that's in the case of what we would generally consider a quote-unquote normal para. But let's say in the case of a more undesirable herd mate. So this would be albinos or like paras that are silent, like maybe they're not too calling.
Here, let's get someone else up here. I'm trying to find someone.
Yeah, preferably an adult.
Okay. Minx, come here.
Yeah.
Okay, I know Minx looks a little melanistic, but we're gonna pretend they're albino for a minute. So, let's say Minx is a new parrot to the herd, and they're albino, or they're really silent for some reason. So they're not responding to us, they're not even, like, too calling, sneezing, they're hardly looking at us or something. We would see that as sickly behavior. Because paras are very vocal, they're very reliant on body language, and if
especially like that shying away, that kind of like shying away behavior, we're very social.
That's perfect.
We think that's a little strange.
Yeah, if they're being avoidant, they're like not looking at us, not paying attention to us, we're gonna be like, ooh, this guy's kind of weird. I don't know if I like him. So yeah, my male might see that as like sickness or just being an outcast, and we're instead just gonna walk away and avoid them. Yeah. Thank you, Minx. That was great.
Yeah, you did very well. Especially for the females. So, as Strii mentioned, females maintain the integrity of the herd. You make sure everybody is safe and healthy in the center. And if you have like this very strange acting herd mate, because even though they're not necessarily fully accepted, they can still come along with the herd. Because herd animal, uh,
But they're not
they
fully accepted. They're not
Yeah.
like socially accepted into the herd. They're allowed to kind of trail behind, but they're not really going to be allowed to come directly into the space of others.
Yeah. So
We'll get
Minx,
a little more into this later, I think. Is that where albino notes are?
No, we're at them.
Oh, okay. Well, perfect.
Yeah, no, we're at them. Minx, could you get up again? Okay. So, again, let's say Minx is albino and trying to integrate into the herd. So, you're trying to come up and socialize, and me, I'm a female, especially an older one. I'm gonna be like, hey, I don't know about that. So, a great way for females to do this is they kind of do a lot of body blocking. I do shakes to kind of show like a little bit of shoving. I'm going to be shoving you back to the back of the herd, maybe doing little mock kicks, saying, "Hey, you're not really welcome here." You might try to like to call or sneeze to be like, "Hey, look, I'm friendly," but because I'm a female and it's my job, like I only want healthy people in the herd, I'm gonna be like, "No."
Yeah, even males would not be outwardly friendly if a female is clearly like denying a herd mate.
Yes. Generally, like we mentioned, it's important to pay attention to that body language. If a herd mate is kind of like pushing you back, then you're probably going to go back. Paras are not super confrontational. Maybe females might be, but eventually, if like a second female joins and pushing you back, you'll give up.
Or if you are like continually being rejected, like let's say that's the third time Mings has been rejected and pushed away, then they're just going to be like, well, it's not even worth my time. I'm just going to hang out on the edges, I guess. But yeah, albinos are treated as sickly. They're seen as outcasts. Animals will not usually be outwardly friendly to albino animals. Like, especially I know crows.
Animals.
Yeah, crows especially will like straight up bully albinos. Herd animals kind of just tend to see them as like, you're weird, you're bright, you don't look like us, therefore please get away.
Yeah, especially so albinism, it tends to come with other kind of related side effects. So a lot of albinos tend to be, say, like blind or deaf. And if paras notice that there's something wrong with one of their herd mates, they are not going to want to interact with them. You don't want to interact with somebody that is sickly or behaving strangely because you could get sick as well. What if it comes to you? It's a survival instinct. Avoiding bad stuff prevents bad stuff from happening to you. Especially albino animals, they're bright white. They attract the attention of predators very, very clearly. Like, let's, like, just for example, you see my current skin, and if I switch to albino...
Don't flashbang, oh my god.
Oh, yes. So, you see my current skin, and then I'm albino. There's a big difference. Thank you.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's very clear that I don't really fit in with the rest of the herd. I don't really look like anybody else. You're probably not going to want to socialize with me.
Alright, let's not call, please.
No more calls. And again, remember, you try to keep 3 calling to a minimum. Because even if you're 3 calling an albino, nobody's going to like that you're so aggressive, and you might get shunned as well.
And you might be on the outskirts with albino before you know it.
Yes. Other strange behavior, like we mentioned, paras are super vocal. So if you're being very quiet, like if you notice, like, oh, I've been 2 calling Strii, I've been chattering at them, and Strii isn't responding, I might be like, hey, what's the matter with you? Very strange. And I might stop interacting with Strii. I might try and interact with other paras that are giving me that attention. So I'll come and be friendly with everybody over here. Hey, guys. Okay, fine. Don't interact with me either. But yeah, I would prefer to interact with other paras that interact with me. And if you're behaving strangely, I'm not gonna want to interact with you.
Another way they could be acting strangely, maybe they're starting to linger behind the herd, like I'm kind of losing speed in the back, I'm constantly seen behind everyone else, maybe I
You're
have
bumping
like a
into
slower,
people.
yeah, I'm bumping into people, I have a slower reaction time, maybe I'm trying to like sniffle a little bit, like I have allergies, I don't know, I'm sick. Then others might pick up on that and be like, ooh, this he sounded a little nasty. I think I'm gonna just walk away from him, hang out with some healthier herd mates, and they can kind of slowly push him out.
Especially females. If you notice somebody is acting strangely, like we mentioned, you're gonna start to do that pushing behavior, that body blocking, like moving them toward the outskirts of the herd where they potentially like can't get anybody else sick. Another thing to keep in mind, and this is very, very important, paras are herd animals. We are not super intelligent, okay? So if we notice that something is wrong with somebody, we're not going to try to help them. It's survival of the fittest, and you prioritize your own survival over anything else. You're not going to be wasting your energy to help another para when you could be focusing that energy toward your own survival. So if you notice somebody that's falling behind and again being unresponsive, you're probably just going to leave them behind. It's harsh, but it's survival.
If you're really bonded, you might stick with them a little bit, try to encourage them to keep up, but ultimately, if they fail to do so, then you're just going to prioritize it. Prioritize yourself, I mean. You're not going to stick around with them until the end. Your own life matters more. That can also apply to injured herd mates, like those who have just been in a fight. If they are trying to come directly into the herd, you're going to be like, whoa, buddy, you have fresh wounds on you. That's going to attract predators. So you would like naturally distance yourself and be like, you can come back when you're a little bit healthier.
Yeah, you're not going to like others that have super like open wounds because you open wounds, that scent of blood, that's going to attract predators.
Yeah. Even if you're super bonded, you just want to kind of stay apart until they're healthier.
A little bit healthier. Yeah.
Okay, I think we're open for a few questions. Does anyone have any questions on that?
Most parents don't really care about small carnivores unless they have children present. There is no proving yourself in para
Yeah. If you're albino, sorry, buddy. It's like you're constantly wounded or constantly sick. Because even if you are really bonded to someone, if they are like egregiously wounded, that is a target for predators. That's like putting a target on your back. You don't want to be right next to them, you know? And no, Blueberry, there's no like real formation in the herd besides the lead male. Like males might want to stick to the outskirts a bit more, like, you know, make sure that females are kind of staying with the herd, not wandering off too much. Babies, I wouldn't put them in the center of the herd just because, like, if something attacks and that is just going to turn into utter chaos. But, you know.
Stick near their mothers.
They'll just stick near their mothers. And no, male paras are not treated the same as albinos. They would just be seen as female. Yeah. There's no matriarchs, really. It's generally up to the males to herd females, but if a matron notices it, then they can kind of herd that female with the kids back.
I don't think they would care about other paras if they have a lot of scars or anything.
Yeah, they wouldn't. No.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't pay attention. It's mostly open wounds. They're like, hey. Don't.
I mean, everyone gets scarred, so we don't really want to moderate that.
Let's see. Let me make sure there aren't any that we missed. Would albino paras shun other albino paras? Yes.
Yes.
albino animals do not realize that they are albino, especially whoopsie. So they're not super smart because they're herd animals. So like think of like cows and other stuff. They can be a little smart, but not for the most part. And if you're albino, you don't really realize that you're albino. You think that you're normal. You think that you look like any other para. So even if I was albino, I wouldn't realize that, and I would instinctively treat other albinos the same way that I am treated. And it's an instinctive thing. They don't really quote unquote think about it.
Um, we went over guidelines earlier,
Yes.
5, but no, adults or subadults should not be helping other adults or subadults. If you're adult, you're on your own.
Any other questions? Any that we might have missed? I do have the Discord chat open.
No. Again, with the guidelines, that applies.
And even if they did have multiple, it's stated in profile that they are left to their fates. So that means that you're not gonna help them.
It also applies if you are a mother and your albino child gets attacked. You're probably just gonna abandon that kid rather than try to help it.
Yes.
They are treated the same, Dominic. As their skin starts to show in, then they're just going to be slowly kind of shunned by their mother, until they eventually get to be subadult and it really starts showing.
It's okay, Xora, don't worry. Any other albino related questions?
Same applies if your mother... Actually, no, you shouldn't have an albino mother. They shouldn't really be mating. But if you have, I don't know, an adoptive albino mother or something, that would be a rare case. But eventually, other females are probably going to be stepping in, let's say Shmoo Shmoo is an albino and I see this kid with them, then I'm going to be like, oh, you need to get away from that guy. He's strange.
Also, something that you reminded me of. So let's say you're a pair and you've exclusively grown up with albinos. Let's say that Strii and I, we grew up together, and I am albino, and so Strii, because we have had no other social interaction, Strii is very friendly to me. Doesn't know any better. However, the moment that we get into a herd and Strii's para starts to pick up that I'm being shunned, Strii is going to start doing the same. Because, as we mentioned, paras are herd animals, and they're very in tune with each other's reactions, body language, like we mentioned. And so, while I might still try to be friendly with Strii, Strii has picked up, oh, my friend is getting shunned, I should shun them as well.
Because a para would favor having more interactions rather than only being friendly with one.
Please do not one call.
If we plan that's truth is in the group.
Baby, can we let our parents know before, since our skin won't show? Would they be allowed to shun us if we let them know they? Yeah, sure. I mean, I would.
It depends. I might consider that metagaming personally if you're not showing. I know. In terms of realism, you would technically show from the moment you're born, but the way pot works, it shows later.
Yeah, I would generally say just shun around adolescence to be safe.
And yes, albinos would generally try to stay out of the sun. They tend to have very sensitive skin due to the lack of melanin. So they would be getting sunburnt. If they stayed out too long, you kind of roleplay this by darkening your skin, making it more pink or something on the back. Okay, is that everything for albinos?
They can be. It's player discretion whether or not you want to.
Like, if you had a really white speckled skin or something, then it's up to your pair if you want to shun them or not. Because, I mean, if they are still pretty white, then you're just going to see that and treat it the same pretty much. because that is still like a beacon for carnivores to follow. Yeah, like that's a little bit on the edge.
There's definitely still a big difference between that and albino.
Mm-hmm.
However, they are similar enough where you might get shunned a little bit. It comes down to player discretion and whether or not you want to shun someone. You could also shun others that are kind of behaving strangely, like we mentioned. You could shun others, so like let's say strange behavior could also kind of fall under. So let's say I am a female, but I have male dimorphism. So other pairs think that I'm a male, but I'm behaving female. So other pairs might be like, that's a little strange, and might kind of start shunning me. So like,
Like you're not behaving like a male should. You're being like way more standoffish than you should be. Then other males are probably going to see that and be like, "That's
here's a blue crest.
It's pretty strange of you."
And I'm being standoffish like a female, and they would be like, "Okay, you're a little weird, buddy," and you might be subjected to some of that shunning behavior.
Because while males are very friendly, if a male is being like overly standoffish, they're gonna be like, "Whoa, you're being kind of mean to me. I think I'm gonna go hang out with other males instead."
And here, just a moment. Do other species care about albinism? Would a lamb shun an albino para? I know that paras will shun albino lambios. They probably wouldn't care about albino struthies. That's another thing. Hi, Caesar.
He asked for a skip ship.
Oh, sorry.
No. I think it has enough dark parts on it.
I think you'd be fine. Sorry, I didn't realize. Anyway, do males shun in the same way and for the same reason that females do?
Males are more subtle about it. Yeah. They wouldn't be like pushy like females would. They would more so just like walk away, probably shake. I'd keep doing that on accident. You wouldn't be calling. You just kind of walk away, maybe shake it off, like go hang out with other buddies instead, but you wouldn't be like pushy about it.
Yeah, just not interacting with someone socially is a form of shunning.
Okay, is that all the albino questions we have? Does everyone have a good understanding? I'll give it just a couple more seconds in case someone's typing. Okay, it looks like we're good. You want to move on, Toby?
Yes.
We're going to finish interspecific. We're on the last bullet point of that.
General socialization. No, you wouldn't defend albino babies. Parents prefer the well-being of the entire clutch over one, and if you have a sickly looking / behaving baby, you're not going to care about it that much. If it gets attacked, oh well, survival of the fittest.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think we're done with questions there, so we're going to move on to the last bullet point of interspecific. So when the herd is resting, everyone pretty much just socializes with each other. They don't have any qualms about like male or female. Like me and Toby's paras, like maybe they grew up together and we're just fine being near each other, We bonded quite a bit. Usually relatives will spend more time with each other. Like if, let's say I'm Toby's son and she's my mother, then I'm obviously going to be a lot more friendly, hang out with her a lot more. Kinship is very important for paras. They love to socialize with those they're related to.
Especially for females.
It's definitely important for females. Males can kind of make friends with pretty much anyone. But yeah, if you were nested in, then you'd obviously be pretty close to your mother, your siblings, any extended family you might have.
Paras do have preferred companions, so you might have a little, like, kind of little para friend group. Especially like related paras will probably stick together a bit more, have your little friend group. also just generally pairs that have spent a lot of time together. So like you've migrated a lot together, you forage together, you like to rest alongside each other, or maybe even like wallow next to each other. You know, just generally, you've spent a lot of time together. You like them. You're friendly with them.
Mm-hmm.
There is dimorphism in the way that pairs interact with each other. Females, for example, are more vocal.
Females
Meanwhile,
also prefer to bond by like spending time together
mm-hmm.
rather than like, you know, rubbing up against each other like a male would. They kind of just forge bonds by hanging out with each other. You know, maybe they'll like rest next to each other, eat together. More of that, like just spending quality time rather than, you know, like.
Males, in contrast, are generally more tactile. They like to, you know, nudge against one another. You know, do a little cut off shake, kind of nudging. They like to. I
Nibble.
forget. Yeah.
So I like to roleplay this out by kind of cutting off the sneeze.
Just a little bonding. Funny little
Mm-hmm.
guy.
You could also kind of like rest your neck or your head on the other person's neck or back. Just that very like, you know, affectionate, like, you know, rubbing against each other or just maybe you're touching your crest together. It's a sensitive region, so it's typically done for like more bonded individuals, but as another good way to show that you trust each other.
They generally just do a lot more physical contact than females do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's majority of the social behavior, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's about
any
it.
questions on that?
Yeah, they're typically closer than other males, like if they grew up together or if the father was, sorry, I'm processing.
I wouldn't say males aren't as vocal as females. It's just that females aren't as physical as males.
Yeah, like males could probably be equally vocal. It's just they also kind of intercept it with more physical stuff.
A female that touches a lot might be mistaken for being flirtatious.
Yeah.
And looking to court.
A mother would probably tolerate, who in the world is that on the horizon? There's another parrot coming over. Oh wait, that's Shmoo. Why are they over there? Anyways, a female, like if she had a son and her son was coming up to her and showing a lot of physical affection, she'd probably tolerate that. I mean, that's her little baby, just a little bigger.
that's a little boy, her little man.
It's just her little baby boy. But generally, a female wouldn't usually tolerate that if they weren't like directly related or something. Not tolerate, but she'd be kind of like weirded out by it if they weren't like super close or something.
Yeah. Would pairs ever fight each other? No.
No, they should not be fighting each other.
Pairs are generally a gregarious, very friendly species. Conflict is kept to a minimum, and so outright fights are not something that should be happening.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions about the social behavior?
Okay, I think we're good.
Okay. Now we get to move on to our interspecific behavior. Ooh, talk about migration. Is there roughhousing?
There's not really roughhousing. I mean, males could maybe, like, just kind of rub against each other a little bit, but they shouldn't be, like, you know, kicking at each other or, like, really bumping into each other too much. Like, I guess they could, like, chase each other at most or something.
Yeah.
They just don't really, roughhouse too much. They're more, like, timid, I guess.
What, do you mean, like, with, migration? We did talk a little bit with, like, males leading. Also, Knives got kicked for inactivity. So we'll
Oh
see if
my
my stream
gosh.
survives. If this kills my internet. So
You
sorry
might
about
want
that.
to talk to them. I think they're doing reports or
taking a shower.
something. Oh, never mind.
Check shot. When you get the chance. Anyway, I'll answer questions in the meantime. Babies playing. Babies can play any kind of way. I imagine they would mostly chase each other. Can go a little bit more in depth about baby behavior once we get there. During sleep, would there be a sentry? Males like to do a bit of sentrying behavior, especially when they're migrating. So they might be a little bit more vigilant during rest stops. But generally, because they're crepuscular, not all paras are going to be sleeping at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
there isn't like really a designated sentry. It might just be like, this guy's up and everyone else is sleeping. Maybe he's just a little bit restless or trying to eat or something. Okay, is that all the questions we have? Oh.
They could show, they may not like it though, and they can kind of show irritation. Like, let's say we're migrating through Broken Tooth Canyon to get to Ripple Beach. You might kind of show irritation with the dry air by shaking a bit more and just generally being a bit quieter because you're not as happy. And so that could be like a way to show discomfort, or maybe have your head hanging a bit low because you don't like those areas. But it's not like you can't travel through them. You can, don't worry.
They don't necessarily need to be sleeping at the same time. They could. But, I mean, if they're migrating together, they typically kind of all have similar sleep schedules, but they don't need to be sleeping at the same time, you know?
Yeah, not everybody needs to sleep at the same time. It's okay if some people are sleeping, some people are being active. You know, it just kind of depends.
Yeah. I mean, if you're all resting in an area, especially, then you have more free time. Maybe you just want to rest during midday. Maybe your buddy wants to rest like 3/4 through the day or something. I don't know. You don't need to be sleeping at the same time. Yeah, you could do that, Ixora. That sounds fine.
Yeah, sleep schedules just kind of depend. You know, as you mentioned, paras are crepuscular. They just kind of sleep whenever. Though typically not at dawn and dusk, because that's when we're most active.
They generally shouldn't be wandering too far from the herd. They want to stay close to comfort.
Yeah.
And obviously a herd offers protection.
Yep. Any other questions about the interspecific behavior? Yes, that is when the sun goes down. So sunset and sunrise.
Sleeping too much would probably be seen as sickness, or if they're really hard to wake up or something.
Like if
lingering
you're
too long.
Very lethargic and just generally acting like weaker, could be seen as sickness. But it depends. I just think like depends on what you mean sleeping too much.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just kind of disperse afterwards.
You know, make
yeah, you're free to do that.
Or otherwise disperse. We'll cover that in a moment. We're about to hit the interspecific interactions. I'm just going to give one more moment for any intraspecific, and then we'll cover inter.
Okay, I think we might be done with questions.
Okay.
For that.
So, moving on to interspecific. So, the difference between interspecific and intraspecific, I know they sound very similar, but it all comes down to that first part of the word, inter versus intra. So, intraspecific means like inner, okay? It's like in your species. So, intraspecific means between two members of the same species, so between two paras. Interspecific means between species. So this would be like a para interacting with a lambio, or any other thing that is not a para, in case anybody was curious. So, generally speaking, paras have most notable interactions with struthies, lambios, and bars. Those are all explicitly mentioned in their interspecific behavior. Though first, we're going to cover just some general interspecific behavior. Paras are generally pretty amicable, friendly, Females, just as they are with newcomers to the herd, they are pretty standoffish and protective of their personal space, as well as just the overall space of the herd. So, while they may tolerate some smaller species, like, say, struthies or even latins, because latins are cleaners, they're probably going to be less happy if a bigger species comes close. So, like, say, a medium herbivore, like, say, in Alberta, or anything bigger than that, like, especially, like, if an Iggy came over to the herd, females aren't going to like that. They're going to be like, hey, they're going to probably body block, and again, do those subtle kind of aggression behaviors that we mentioned. They might rear up on their hind legs and lift their head to show, like, hey, you're not welcome here. Move away, give a little kick. And generally, these warnings should be heeded. If they're not, you can 3-call, but again, it should be a last resort.
Let's say I'm a male and Dominic is some kind of smaller herbivore, like a Kenshiro or something, and he comes up to me. I'm not really going to care all that much. I'm just going to be looking at him, maybe give him a little bit of a sniff or something. If he starts acting a little weird, maybe getting a little too comfortable, like trying to cuddle with me or like get right up in my space, then I'm obviously going to like try to distance myself. But generally males are like fine to share their space with other species unless it's like a really big herbivore or something.
Yeah, females are the standoffish ones.
Yeah, they just tend to be more curious instead of like, they're not necessarily like friendly. They're just kind of like, okay, you're hanging out near me.
Yeah. As a para, you're probably going to be pretty cautious of more like belligerent species. So like stegos,
like Iggies and stuff.
You're probably going to be more like hesitant with them. You're not going to want to be near them. You're probably going to avoid them because oh, those guys are pretty mean. I don't like them. So like, let's say, because this has been something that's pretty common recently, let's say you get imprinted on. If you get imprinted on by a Latin, you probably won't really mind them, especially if you're a male. You might not want them near your face, especially if you're sleeping or touching you. So you might get up and move away, or maybe kick at them if they get close, like they try to touch you and cuddle with you, or if they try to get up in your face. You're not gonna like that. Latins, though, they're generally pretty tolerated because, as I mentioned, Latins are cleaners. That said, in the case of another popular dinosaur that imprints, Rex, you are going to be a lot less tolerant of them. You may not notice them when they're hatchlings because they're tiny itty bitty. But as they get bigger, especially as they become juveniles, you are not going to want them near you. You are not going to want them in your personal space. And you are definitely not going to want them, like, cuddling up to you. Even males.
Yeah. Because, one, that's a carnivore. Two, any little itty-bitty carnivores will draw bigger carnivores, and you don't want that.
Yeah. You don't mind Latins because they benefit you. You don't like anything else because it can be dangerous. And paras are not, like, I know we said they're not the brightest, but they are smart enough to recognize that's not good. That's not good looking. They may not necessarily know immediately that's a Rex, but they'll figure it out eventually. They would probably just move away.
They would just move away.
Not near kids at all.
Yeah, if they're near babies and they're big enough, you're gonna be like, hey, you need to get away from my kids right now, buddy.
Yeah. Any questions about an immediate 3-call? I would say yes, personally.
I would say you could kind of rip on your legs first. If they're not taking the hint,
yeah,
just 3-call them.
It also also depends on the size of your own kids as well. Like, if your
Yeah.
babies are tiny, itty-bitty hatchlings, you're definitely not going to like it.
If it's something that is like an immediate threat or could be an immediate threat to your kids, then you would probably just go with the 3 call first instead of trying to do that.
It is your crouch button.
It's control.
So whatever you use to crouch. Yep. Any questions on just like the general interspecific behavior? We're going to cover Struthi's, Lambios, and Bars momentarily. Yes, we plan to do more expeditions soon for other species. However, those dates are not currently public.
Kentros, like, females might get irritated with them. Males probably wouldn't care too much unless they're like running directly next to them, because Kentros are spiky and that's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Packies are pretty rambunctious. Males might tolerate them just fine. Females would probably give them like a side eye unless they start becoming trouble.
Yeah, they're pretty tolerated because they're so small.
If they start becoming like annoying or try to butt heads with your kids or you, then you are not gonna like them anymore.
You might call them or something similar. And the member has a herd has an imprinted carny like a rex trailing them, while other members of the herd try to separate them.
I mean, it depends. If it's like an itty bitty teeny weensy rex or something, they're probably not really gonna care until it gets bigger.
Yeah.
If that's like a juvie rex though, then they should just not be following it. I mean, I guess females could try to step in.
Careful of sprinting.
Yeah, please don't sprint.
Howdy, are you around? Can you swap to a rex real quick, just so I can show sizes? Thank you.
But yeah, females.
Here, I'll do that real quick. I got it.
Okay.
Well, howdy hops on a rex. Go ahead and teleport to Strii when you're ready.
Oh my goodness.
Hi,
What is
officer.
this little
Welcome
worm? Don't you spam crouch?
Okay. I'm gonna put down some bushes.
Oh my goodness, you're so tiny.
And let me grab some water real quick. There you guys
Okay,
go.
so I believe Howdy is a hatchling right now. So you can see she's not even like reaching up my foot, pretty much, like where my ankle bone would be. That's a teeny, itty bitty little guy.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't even care.
They probably wouldn't notice. They might just be like, what is making that noise?
Oh no!
Oh, okay. So Caesar Reeves is a baby para for comparison. They're kind of the same size-ish.
No sprinting. No sprinting. So yeah. And then, so Howdy's currently a hatchling.
I think she might reach up to like my shin or something as a juvenile.
Once you see them, try to back up a little bit so other people get the chance to see.
Yeah. Here, I can turn to this side so it's easier. Come here, Howdy. Get next to my leg again. Yeah, very small little guy. Alright, can you make Howdy juvenile now?
I'm gonna make her halfway to juvie. So now,
okay.
She's a bit bigger.
So now she's kind of reached up to my ankle bone. I can kind of still see her. Well, I can see her more now, but, still in that too small to care range.
Ooh, we're getting into the dicey area.
Oh. Now, she's kind of big. That might be like a little thing that I would worry about if I had kids. And at that point, I'd be like, whoa, that's kind of starting to look like a Rex or something that I don't like.
A male may be still tolerant at this stage, a female probably would not be.
Yeah.
So now...
And a female might try to push out that baby.
Yeah. Oh, did it make you bigger? No, it didn't. Why did it make you bigger? Is your growth inhibited, Hattie?
It might be.
Okay, hold on. Okay, well. And then, so that's juvie. And then here is adolescent. Too big.
Yeah, that is too big. If you accidentally trample something, that's not considered aggression. That's just like, well, you didn't see him. It happens. Oh, yeah, you even got your adult calls coming in. Yeah. Oh, no.
We're not gonna like you in our space. Okay, no sprinting, not a lot of calling. But yeah, at this point, not even a male would want this near them. Okay, thank you, Hattie.
Thank you for being our little demonstrative
so
worm.
Yeah. Oh, for full grown? Oh, come here, Hattie.
Ooh. Hattie's gonna get big real quick. Oh, God.
No. That's
a
no.
big boy.
Yeah, get out here. Yes. Very scary. That is a 4-call stampede runaway. No, thank you. Thank you, Hattie. Appreciate it. Vanilla Rex is oversized. PT Rex is accurately sized. Para big. Any questions about imprinting? Oh, I meant to vibe. So on PTR we do have a rule: if something comes into within 2 body lengths of your personal space, so like let's say like again, adolescent Rex just walks up in your personal space, you don't want it, you don't have to 3-call it. We recommend showing body language and aggression first. However, you can just outright attack if it comes into your space. August imprint as well. You would probably tolerate it similarly. You would probably tolerate them a little bit more because they are herbivores and they are very clearly herbivores.
But if they start getting bigger, then females are probably gonna step in and be like, okay, you're kind of big.
Alberta size, you're probably gonna
yeah. Males are generally tolerant of like most herbivores, except those that are like probably a marga size or a bit bigger. So like Eos, we don't like bars, obviously. Struggling to think of anything else, but you get the point.
Yep. As for what all profiles imprint, if I could remember off the top of my head, I would tell you, but I know for sure Rex and Latin are, Amarga do as well. And yes, we are going to talk about other more particular interspecific interactions soon. Oh, thank you.
Dogs kind of just mistake things. Annos also tend to mistake things.
Yeah. The herd would not want to klutz nearby. They wouldn't, like, freak out unless they had tiny little babies, but they would probably just be like, they would side-eye it, and they wouldn't want it nearby in the herd space.
Okay, is that all the questions?
Yes, I think. So now we can talk about Lambio, Struthi, and bars. So, Struthi is the easiest one. Are there any Struthis? IIRC means if I recall correctly, Shadow. Any Struthies in chat? I think I saw some earlier, but they might not be here still.
I don't think they were in group.
I see one back there. see you. You might be AFK. Super Dino, are you alive? Rest in peace. Okay, you can hop on yours if you want to, Caesar. Hit Strii.
What?
You kept walking when I was
I'm on
talking
my
to you.
trophy.
Okay, thank you. So, Struthies. So, Struthies are probably one of the most well-liked herbivores on the roster. Everybody likes them because Struthies are cleaners. So, here we go. Strii sitting down, the perfect target. It's time to get to preening. They pluck off parasites. And you're generally going to want them to be near you and in your space. You like it when they're there. They pick off bugs, parasites, other stuff that might irritate your sensitive skin. You like having them around. Generally, if you see a Struthie and you want to be preened, you could give a little, hey, look, me. And then I sit. And then I get preened. Thank you. So kind. Another thing is you can rest your head. You may not all paras will like having their horns cleaned. So if a preener tries to touch your horn, maybe like a Latin that is a carnivore as well, you may, hey, don't touch that. And they'll take that sign and they'll probably back off. If not, you can get up and walk away. Generally, you are just going to like cleaners. They're doing great. Females are
no.
possessive, no. You know, generally cleaners are just very appreciated, especially Struthies, because they also serve as sentries. They're overall just incredibly helpful, and you like having them around. Any questions about Struthies, preeners in general? I feel like it's a pretty straightforward relationship. Yes, there will.
There's a thou lingering.
Yeah, got it.
They would be treated the same, pretty much. I mean, they groom.
Yeah.
No, the lesson is not over yet. We still got, like, Lambio and bars, and then the courtship and baby behavior. They can be, depends, like, if you have little babies around you or something. Is that all we have for preening? Yes, they can claim babies. Although generally if you're like a mother and you see a Latin getting too close to your kid, you're probably not gonna want to let them near. Okay, bye.
Sorry about that. Anyway.
You're fine.
Yeah, cleaners will clean babies. Though they probably wouldn't clean, like...
Okay, I think Toby is called away for a minute. Let me find the other behavior. I think we're done with preening, so we're gonna go on to Lambio and bars. Lambios are treated the same as regular herd mates. They're pretty much like smaller paras to us. Although you would... Is that an aloe?
Sorry
Oh
about
my
that.
god,
Anyway.
there's a Serato, Toby.
Okay, 1 second.
I'll just continue.
Go ahead.
Lambios are treated the same as regular herd mates. They're welcomed into.
Here is the menu.
Yeah, they could roleplay it out like that. Generally, female pairs would be fine with it since Struthies are trusted. So Lambios we just treat as normal herd mates. Basically, they're allowed to come into our space. We might socialize a bit with them. Although, one thing to note about Lambios and our interactions with them, we won't form meaningful bonds. We only form those with our own species. So we can lightly socialize, you know, like hang out with them. They're just like smaller, weirdly crested paras to us. They're fairly similar, and we like them. They're welcome company. The only time you might get into a bit of trouble with them is when males are in rut. Males, as in male Lambios, they tend to get pretty rowdy, kind of aggressive to everything, and I think they try to attack everything, if I recall.
Yeah.
They just get really, like,
tend to be
pushy, yeah, aggressive. So, Gloss, would you like to demonstrate? Yeah, so if Gloss is, like, kicking at me, being all rough and rowdy, then I'm gonna be like, whoa. I don't think I like this Lambio, so I'm gonna walk away from him, let him calm down a bit, maybe get a lady to chill him out. If they are being, like, overly aggressive, then a female might end up stepping in, but generally we just kind of avoid them in that state.
If a Lambio tried being aggressive to me as a female, I would probably just be like, yeah? Who do you think you are, buddy? Yeah, alright. I'm probably just, you know.
No, they should not have rabies. Rabies is mammal only.
Yes. Did you answer the Shruti question?
Yes, I did.
Okay, just making sure.
Okay, yeah, I think that's about it for Lambio. Bars are like our big angry moose cousins. They tend to be kind of unpredictable. I think they're larger than us in game.
Yes.
So we might allow them to follow us at a distance, maybe hang, like, let's say our herd's right here, the bars is that tree over there. But if they get any closer than that, we're gonna be a little freaked out, because bars are just strange hadrosaur cousins. They don't have our really cool horns. They just tend to be more unpredictable. And so if we see them getting close, then we're gonna be like, I'm going the other direction then.
Yeah.
And they should not be coming directly into the herd or allowed closely.
You're not going to want them in the herd's personal space. You're generally just going to discourage them away. Though, since bars are so big and generally easy to provoke, you're probably just going to move away from them if they get too close instead of aggressing them.
Yeah, you should not be aggressing bars.
Yeah. Besides
okay, do we
maybe,
have...
like, kicking because you're irritated, but that's it.
Do we have any questions about Lambio or bars?
Can lambs interact with baby parrots? Yeah. Did you talk about how they're nannies?
Yeah. Oh, they're nannies?
Yeah. Lambios will sometimes watch baby
Oh, right.
parrots.
I forgot about that.
It's okay. And parrots don't really mind it. They're just like, oh, free babysitter? Heck yeah.
Cool, I'll allow that.
So Lambios might try to play with, like, baby parrots. They won't try to adopt them because Lambios don't adopt things that have parents. And even if it's like a para adoptee, technically the adoptee is adopted by the herd, so the Lambio wouldn't bother with them.
And yes, albino Lambios are shunned just the same. No, we have 2 more sections. Although, if you want to leave beforehand, you are free to do so.
I wouldn't even necessarily say that bars like para. I am the profile creator. So I wouldn't necessarily say that bars like Paris. They just they don't mind being with the herd and having those traveling companions. It's a toleration. Just company.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Okay, I think that might be it. Okay, second to last section. We're in the home stretch.
yes, sir. Hostility and threat
Oh,
reaction.
never mind. We have 3 more. Oh my god.
Wait, we do?
Yeah, we have to do the baby behavior too.
Oh, that's
We can kind of
quick.
skim
Only
over
like
that.
4
It's a
minutes.
quick one. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we're covering the full profile. There's a lot to go over. So, hostility and threat reaction. A lot of it depends on what is or isn't a major threat. Remember, please only use the group chat for questions, not for casual chatter. Now, so, what is a manageable versus a major threat? Generally speaking, I would say most medium carnivores are considered manageable threats. So, let's say Strii is a male, standing sentry, happens to spot, say, maybe like a pack of Ceratos or a pack of Dilos. If there aren't any small babies in the herd, Strii's probably going to do the standard threat reaction, which, go ahead. You do a little look around, you paw at the ground, which remember, draws attention to you, and you kick. And this is like,
and
hey,
you stare at them.
Yep, so you
You
paw.
want to maintain eye contact.
You kick. And so that's what you do when you see like a manageable threat. So this would, as we mentioned, small packs of medium carnivores, like 3 Ceratos, 4 Dilos. But let's say if you spot 5 Kongs or 6 Utahs, then you might kind of, maybe cut off a forecall. Okay? Because it's not super bad, but it's worth like immediately grabbing everybody's attention. You can show uncertainty, like we mentioned, like that pacing, holding eye contact, pawing and kicking. If you spot like a large carnivore, or like that might make you a bit more antsy. Anything more than that, so like say you see a pair of aloes or a trio of dasps, or in some cases, oh hey Caesar, look at that, it's an aloe. They might. Yeah, there we go. We'll get a little bit more into it, but first, before we get into this, Caesar, I appreciate it. I do want to say, so, immediate threats, so this would, again, be a trio of dasps, an aloe pair, or a Rex or Giga. That is an immediate forecall, and you run. Especially for a Rex and Giga. You are not going to stand your ground against them.
You can have Giga privilege knives momentarily.
Yeah, you can have your Giga privilege. I'm just waiting.
Waiting for it to pop up.
But yeah, so if you spot them, you forecall, you run. You do like, if you can avoid it, you're going to run from it.
And if you see a Giga or a Rex coming over, then you forecall. The whole herd should be running, pretty much.
Forecall is basically the immediate everybody stampede call.
Oh my God, Caesar.
Good job. So, is there any outstanding when being chased by a Giga or a Rex considered unable to escape, in which a pair may stand their ground? Yes. Yes, you can tail smack by running. I wouldn't while running. I would only do it while something is actively attacking your rear, however. Otherwise, this might be considered offensive tail attacking, or you might accidentally friendly fire. Will a herd/mom abandon babies that can't keep up when running away? Depending on the threat, maybe.
If it's a more manageable threat, generally babies should be hidden in bushes.
Just one thing. The tail attack is only for carnivores if he's offensively. It's not for herbivores.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still, either way.
Yeah.
Knives? Where's your Giga? I gave you privileges.
can't believe she's passing up Giga privileges.
I'm on
Wow.
my way.
No, you're not. I see your name tag right
I
here.
have my Giga here if you still want.
The dog keeps touching my
No.
arm. I can't move. Alright, here I am.
That's fine. Oh no, what a terrifying Giga.
Oh
Yeah,
my
hi.
god.
Okay, so here's the thing. A lot of people think like even is. Oh my god! Wait, come up here. Stand by me.
That does not look like a full-grown Giga.
It's not. It's not. This is subadult.
Oh.
So you're still going to be pretty scared of a subadult, especially if you spot them from afar. A subadult can still deal a lot of damage to you, even if it doesn't seem like it can. So you're still probably going to outright forecall and run. Now, in the case of a full-grown, you treat them the same way. That is a forecall and run. And regardless, like, if it's subadult, you treat it the same. Even if it does look like you might be a little bit more hesitant, especially if it's super small. However, generally, the main answer when you see an apex carnivore, forecall and run. Let me stick my head in your mouth. So yes, like, generally, you run from apexes, you run until you can't anymore. If they manage to keep up, you can stand your ground and attack. You can always defend yourself.
If they start attacking you, then you can turn around and attack them right back. You're never obligated to, like, sit there and take a bunch of hits if you are actively being attacked by something.
You can always defend yourself. Generally, though, as a para, you are going to want to run.
Yeah, you should be running from huges first if you can help it.
Mm-hmm.
But if they manage to catch up to you or something, then obviously you can just stand there and attack them back. I don't think they should be, like, forecalling outright, but
they may be fancier than usual.
They could be more, like, uncertain.
I would say for females, yes, but males generally are timid and would like to avoid conflict. Meanwhile, females are more willing to hold their ground. So that brings us into our next point, which is what do you do when, like, a threat is showing intent? So, Caesar, you chose the wrong time to log on to your para because I was about to bring up your allo.
I can stretch back, that's fine.
Okay. Go ahead real quick. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Alright. Okay. So, here comes Caesar's allo, okay? So, you locomote, you paw and you kick, so, spotted this. And then I'm gonna paw. I'm gonna kick. I've caught the attention of the herd. And now, so this is when the more behavioral dimorphism comes out. So, as you can see, Strii is being a little bit more timid as a male and kind of backing off. Males especially try to avoid conflict. Meanwhile, females are a little bit more willing to stand their ground. In the face of a threat, I'm probably going to rear up on my hind legs. This makes me appear bigger and more intimidating. I may lift my head. It does the same thing. And generally, I'm just going to be like, hey, get away, you know? My, one call to intimidate, it's like, hey, look, I am so energetic. I am so strong. I can beat you up, okay? My 3 call, especially if they are being super interested. And it's always good to put a lot of effort into your threat displays because sometimes it can be enough to get a predator to back down. Knives, if you're still here, there's a Quetzalcoatl south. Go kick them out, please. I'd appreciate it. Anyway, so, generally, especially if you are a carnivore, and, you want to hunt something, but, it's putting on a really good threat display, it's putting on the works. It's got the mock attacking, it's appearing larger, it's, putting in all that energy and that effort into its display, you're probably going to back off away from them. And, you'd be okay, that guy's looking pretty strong, looking pretty healthy. I might go off in search of a better opportunity for food that's easier and won't take as much energy. Another thing is, so yeah, you know, females hold their ground. Males are a bit more hesitant, but you know, they're not. I wouldn't necessarily say they're super cowardly. Generally more hesitant, yes, but they'll fight back if they get attacked. And so that brings us into how they act when they are attacked. Now, so this is all just suggestion. You do not necessarily have to follow profile to a T when you are actively in an engagement and you are being attacked. This is mostly just our recommendations for how you should behave if you want to be within profile. Now, as Strii is showing, males are a little bit more unpredictable. They might charge, they might use a bit more of their energy.
You might rear up on your legs suddenly. You just kind of tend to go between things more often. You're not really standing your ground all the time.
You're panicked, okay?
Yeah. You got more adrenaline in you. You're just do whatever you can to survive.
Mm-hmm. Mock runs towards kids. If it's within 2 body lengths, you can attack them freely. If they do not initiate a hunt, however, you should not pursue them out of your personal space. So as we've shown, males are pretty unpredictable. Meanwhile, females, some space, Strii.
What?
Some space.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you. So if I were being hunted as a female, I would probably be more, you know, standing my ground. You know, I would still be focused on those displays, and then, oh, I actually hit you. You know?
Yeah, you play more defensive as a female. If you see a good
out.
opportunity, then you might try to rush out, but not to the extent that males typically do.
Yeah, I'm generally just trying to hold my same position, might run out occasionally, but then I come back, you know? Yeah?
Oh.
Okay, so you see what we mean? Still holding this general position, not really charging out a ton. And generally just letting them come to me rather than wasting my energy, potentially. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that in combat.
Yeah. Don't listen to Toby.
So yeah, we'll cover that point. At that point. If you're a subadult or like fresh adult male, you might be a little bit more timid, a little bit more cowardly. If you get attacked, you might seek the comfort of a female relative. You know, you'd be like, "Mommy, please." It's okay. You know, just a little flavor thing if you want to. That said, when a hunt is initiated, it is every para for itself. Okay? We have an engagement limit of 1. You should be trying to get 10 body lengths away if you can help it. And generally just staying uninvolved of an engagement if you can help it. Now, as long as you are making that active effort to move away, again, 10 body lengths, I recommend familiarizing yourselves with that in the rules, just in case. As long as you are moving away, if they do come within 2 body lengths of you, like, you should not go out of your way to attack them, but you can, like, let's say Caesar is hunting a baby, okay? He's hunting a baby. They run right by me and I swat at both of them, okay? I don't swat at any in particular. I just swat.
Yeah.
I don't want either of them near me.
Another thing I've seen pairs do, let's say Toby is actively being hunted. I can't just sit here, like, a few body lengths away and let the predators, like, come near me and then I try to attack them. That, you need to, like, make an active effort to get away. So yeah, I can't just sit here, 3 call, because Caesar's obviously trying to get around Toby and hunt her, and I can't, like, bite at her, or sorry, kick them and try to attack them. You need to be, like, actively moving away.
Yeah.
Even if they switch targets, you need to create enough distance that they won't, like, get hit by everyone else.
Yeah, it's to prevent possible interference. So, again, paras do not form defensive formations. So something that we see sometimes in reports is so everybody will bunch up together, especially like around babies or something, to try and defend each other easier. Cannot do this, okay? They panic when they get hunted. They just run, okay? You want to put that distance between yourself and the engagement. You just want to be gone. If they switch targets in a hunt, does the original have to disengage immediately? So this brings me to 1 second. Let me pull it up, because even I don't know the rules off the top of my head. Combat rule 1B. If you are attacked, you may always act in self-defense, even if it exceeds the engagement limits. So if you are a carnivore, you need to be careful, because if you switch targets, your original target is still engaged in the fight and can still beat you up. So, like, let's say a carnivore targets me first, but then they decide to switch to Strii, I am still engaged. I can still fight. And even if it exceeds the engagement limits, I can participate. Hi.
Yeah, you shouldn't be, like, using each other for defense, though. Like, if Caesar decides to target both of us, then we can't, like, bunch up like this or use each other because we've both been targeted. You have to, like, be a fair distance away.
And
like, you can't actively go near each other and try to use it.
I will say, while you can still participate, realistically, if you are no longer being attacked, you are not going to defend, okay? You're going to leave. You're going to say, oh, they decided to go after that guy, better him than me, let's get out. So it's important to remember what is realistic.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that covers most of the hostility and threat reaction.
Any questions?
Can go up and intimidate as long as an engagement has not started. So
you can together. Yeah, I would recommend using broadcast and 3-call because pairs kind of do use sound as intimidation.
You know, so you're gonna
it's like a weapon.
It shows, like, hey, look how energetic.
God, I hate when the call's cut off.
Look how strong I am, you know?
You do not want to mess with me. I'm very healthy.
Exactly. Because carnivores, they do look for weaker, tired targets who could make an easy meal. What calls should one use? I recommend Gutsy, personally.
Gutsy, just because you're usually going to be fighting solo.
Yeah. Yes, we did just cover no defensive formations. I'm about to go over when offspring is attacked. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, when going over the guidelines, if offspring is attacked, both the mother and the father can defend, because that is something they do take part in. So let's say, Hecticota, let's say you're not albino, first of all. If you were an albino and you were a child of me and Strii, and you got attacked, we could both defend you. Per the engagement limits. No, it should not. If let's say Hecticota is an adoptee, again, not albino. If you were an adoptee, only one person could defend, and this would typically be a female. So, like, say I have a clutch and you happen to slip right in, I'll be like, oh, okay, I guess I'll defend you. You seem to be one of my babies right now. Because, you know, in the heat of the moment, a female isn't keeping track of how many kids she has. She's just like, okay, these are my kids. Would you act energetic to intimidate even if you're hurt? I'll go over that in a second. Just a second. Okay. But, again, if an adoptee is attacked, only one may participate. This would typically be, again, a disorganized female, as mentioned in profile, or potentially a matron who has taken on that specific adoptee. Thank you, Dakota. So, would you act energetic to intimidate even if you're hurt? Yes. However, it's important to consider, if you're hurt, do you have that energy? Do you have that energy to spare? Is it worth doing this intimidation display, even if it might not be worth it? Like, is it worth doing it? What if they just attack you anyway? Can we use the charge ability to escape predators? Yes. Were there any other questions?
Okay, it seems like that is all we have for that part. We're gonna move on to courtship then.
Yes, it's time for everybody's
Alright.
expedition field trip. Get up.
That was so, like, rude. Get up now.
Get up. I'm very direct. Okay, that sucks. Get up.
Ooh, drag me knives. We're going to the kind of patchy, sandy part down there. If you see it on the map, the
Wow.
with the grass.
You
Oh,
didn't
God.
read us like a proper page.
There we go. There we go. Sorry, I forgot about that.
Oh no, 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 not me next. No, don't do it. You. Get me out of the ocean. Okay. Can you be the baby again? Sure, Gloss, you can be my baby. Woo! Courtship! Wahoo! Oh, look at that horde of arrows. Here they come. Caesar, are you male or female?
Caesar looks female.
Okay. That doesn't necessarily mean he is or isn't.
He just typed in global.
Nice.
Is that a red crest? I cannot see.
You can kind of see it, but Mala, so you know.
Oh, you're Mela? Ew.
Yeah.
Freak.
I was just asking because you make for a good example. Okay. Yeah, Klaus, is that your baby impression? So true. Okay.
He's begging for food.
That is unfortunate. Okay. Everybody can go ahead and stay right around these parts while we do, because we'll be focusing. So like right around here, and then moving in a line. I'm going to be staying over here. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Caesar.
There you go. You have your baby privileges.
Oh. Oh my. Although I think we're doing the baby stuff later.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. Floss can be my baby.
Okay.
So, somebody.
Knives, can you drag Isor away? They're AFK right now.
Yeah, move away, Mr. Cheesy Fries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh my god, don't put them in the ocean! Okay.
I'll back up over here. You can go ahead, Strii.
Wait, no, you're supposed to flirt with me first.
Oh, you're right. My bad. Anyway, courtship begins with the females. So, I am a female. I am looking to nest, and so what I do is I paw the ground. You know, I'm drawing attention to myself, and oh, I'm doing it right by a male. He's like, oh, this female. Okay. And I'm going to be a little bit more physical than usual. Again, remember, females are mostly vocal. They're not super physical like males are. And so a male, if he sees this female who's drawing attention to herself and being more physical, this is flirtatious behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So, once the male picks that up, and a female is going to do that to multiple males, not necessarily one in particular, so I'd come over here to, like, Sharkjira, and I would also do this behavior, you know, any available male. Be like, hey. You know? And eventually this would kind of signal to the males, oh, the lady wants to court, it's time to court. And that's when they start the locking behavior. So go ahead, Strii. You stake out your little territory. This is typically like a small patch where you just want to hang out, and this is where you'll basically do a little performance. You're going to be walking up on your hind legs, you're going to be showing off your crest, you're going to be calling out, and this is kind of, draws attention to you by other females. Basically, what you're doing during this period is you're just strutting your stuff. Showing this is what I'm made of. You want me as your mate so bad. Oh my gosh. And so, Caesar, could you come over here? And go ahead and have your own little lek by Stries.
Why is this thou coming right up to us? It's literally going to fly into us.
I got it.
Oh my god, not the profile breaking too.
I think you should drag them into the ocean and hold them under.
Oh my god!
I'm kidding.
Toby! Oh, I see it going over there.
Anyway, so, here's the thing. As a female...
You are crossing my leg.
Oh, wow, you're entering Stry's lek. You can go ahead and talk about that.
Oh, yeah, so males might kind of posture at each other if they end up getting too close. This should not be fighting. Do not fight each other, please. So yeah, you might just kind of, like, look at each other. Maybe yell a bit. Say, like, this is my lek. Oh my god, of course my call cut off.
Of course it cut off.
And yeah, this shouldn't go beyond posturing. There is no winner. They just kind of respect each other's spaces and go on with their posturing.
So, you as a female, right?
There is another thou, by the way.
So you as a female, when you are scoping out a potential mate, there are a few things to keep in mind. First of all, how good is his performance? If he's not really strutting his stuff, you're not really paying attention to him. Second of all, how pretty is he? You're looking at his crest. How bright are the colors? Because the thing is, males have bright crests because it shows how healthy they are. It requires a lot of energy and a lot of good, just being healthiness, being having good vitality to have those bright colors, those bright pigments. And so the brighter your crest is, the more healthy you are. So a female is going to be looking for a male who has a bright, colorful crest, and so that means that he is a healthy, good mate. She's not going to like a male like, say, Reeves over here, who has an all-black crest that blends in with the rest of his body, and it's like, it doesn't really matter how nice he is to me, I'm not going to like him. Now, additionally, females also like males who are attentive, who are smart, if you will. So, if a male has, like, come over to you and has, say, like, shown you the food before, shown you, hey, look at all this food, I know where all this food is, you're going to like that. You're going to like, oh, this male has shown me so much food, he's going to make a good mate. And so, let's say Stry's male, been nice to me, has shown me the food, has a good crest, putting on a good performance. I'm going to slowly approach, maybe do a little sniffs. I'm watching that, performance, and here, let me move aside, better angle. Okay, and then, I might sneeze a bit, get your attention, and then we do a little nose boop. We rub our crests together. This is a very tender moment. It's very sweet. And that's courtship.
Yep, that's about it. And males will do that with multiple females.
Yes, because we are polygynous. One male, multiple females. Females aren't possessive or anything. They're not going to get upset if a male mates with multiple females or anything, or shows attention.
Yes, we are not monogamous in any way.
Yeah, it's just kind of whoever happens to be the best mate. A male probably is going to pay less attention to albino females and is going to focus his attention on healthier looking females instead.
And if, say, a crested female, crested is in colorful crest.
yeah.
If she comes up to him, he's gonna treat her like he would a male, thinking she's intruding on his lek. So if Toby had a bright crest, I'd be like, whoa.
So if I came
Get
over
away
as a
from me.
female and I was like, hey, Stry's not gonna like that. Stry's not gonna be all friendly with me, and I'm gonna be like, hey. And I might be discouraged. And this is probably going to be how you're treated by most males, if not all of them. Because
It should be
like,
all.
It should be all, because they're like, that's another male. Let's see. Do we want to give people the chance to show off their lucking behavior?
Sure.
Okay.
You basically just walk in a circle, broadcast, kick occasionally to call if there's a woman near you. Show off for her.
Yeah, if any
You
males
shouldn't
wanna-
really be running, but you just want to like walk in. Don't you call at me, Caesar.
a male with a dull crest shouldn't be approaching a
Yeah.
lecking male.
He can try to do his own lecking, but
Like
he's not gonna get much attention.
Yeah. If you want to be that tiny, I can make it happen.
Where are you, Shiloh? Give me a sec. Yeah, that's fine for female.
But yeah, courtship is pretty easy on males. And, like we said, with females, you could kind of just, get attention, give them a little call. And it's that easy. You may take your time kind of going through, surveying each male and his lek, deciding who's a good option, thinking like, oh, which males have shown me the food, those sorts of things, and then you can eventually make your decision. Some females may be pickier than others, some may be easier to please. Here, I'll come over there, Tama. I would say yes. However, once it's a bit lighter, I want to look at you. Okay?
Let me see.
Over here.
It's a bit hard to see.
I'll keep the fit.
I can see a bit of blue on the crest, but it might be dull enough. It's hard to
that's why
see.
I said daytime. Daytime would be better. So true, Coda. Hi, Ron.
Alright. Men can stop lecking, by the way.
Yeah. So. Everybody
There is another Thal watching us.
Goodness gracious. Oh, hey, it's the same one that I said she was.
Yep. So, Knives, you want to drag this guy into oblivion? Thank you. Love you.
Chat. Before I go, I want to just question here. How does the nesting pod work?
There is a guide.
Yeah, do you mean like the nesting process as a whole, or nesting as para specifically?
Oh, I thought you meant the nesting bot. Does it say bot or part?
Okay, so, we're about to get to that. So, once females have chosen their males and have courted, they kind of find a nice little bush. So, over here is a nice little bush, let me tell you. So, you're going to be looking for a dense bit of shrubbery, and this is going to be where you are going to have your nest. You can paw at the ground a little, kind of like you're role-playing out, you're building a nest. And then, while you're writing up your nesting post, you can sit in it. So pretend I'm writing up my nesting post right now. You're gonna want to bond with other nesting females. So if other females are nesting, you're gonna be friendly with them. You're going to form your own little section of the herd. You're bonding with other females during this period because you're all going to be like slightly communally raising your offspring together. They are generally more amicable than they might be usually because females are more standoffish. So, I've had my nest. My nesting post is now up, and so now you're gonna be like patrolling around the nesting area. You're not gonna be sitting there the whole time. Tacos, as a note, parrots do not adopt babies unless like they are very clearly abandoned, like not even in a herd. You're not gonna abandon a baby that like is adopted by a herd. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, you're going to be patrolling around your nest, not constantly sitting at it.
Wait, you said pears, you meant lambios,
Oh,
right?
lambios. Sorry, yes.
Okay.
You're only going to be like taking a baby that is like completely abandoned. No parents whatsoever. Not even like a herd. So, you're gonna be patrolling your nesting site, making sure no threats come through, and so like let's say even small carnivores, so like a Latin, you might be aggressive toward, especially because you have tiny little baby hatchlings. So you're definitely going to be a lot more aggressive. You're going to like 3-call them, say like there's Latin over there or something. Generally just ward them away from this area. And you might only occasionally come in to like check on your babies. So this would be like you when you need to bring your offspring, you would be quote unquote checking on your nest and a baby hatched. Wow. Tending to your eggs. And oh my god, wow, I have a baby. I promise Gloss is a baby para, not a baby Lambio. I don't know what you mean. This is my little baby. So, babies are very weak during this period. Because they're hatchlings. Because paras are huge herbivores, their hatchling phase lasts about 20 minutes. Generally, I would say when you hatch, you do not have very strong legs. However, once your food hits about nearest the top of the stomach bar, usually that's a good point of reference for like, okay, my legs have gotten stronger now. I'm strong enough that I can get up and I can be led to food. So, you've gained your footing. You come out of the bush. Wow, my baby. Okay? So, you may even shoo Struthies away from your eggs and hatchlings. Obviously, you won't be outright 3-calling them. Is it okay to remind kids that they are running around? Yeah, as long as you're
That's
polite
fine.
about it. You can leave VC, but we are not quite over, no.
They said they had to leave VC, so I think they already left.
Oh, never mind. Whoopsie, my bad. Yes, you can, if you're a hatchling, you can kind of act out that you're a bit unsteady on your feet. You could sit down and maybe do a little cut-off 4-call to say, oh, I've fallen. And that would be your mom's cue to, like, gently nudge you up, But eventually you would fully find your footing, or if you don't, you may be abandoned because you are considered sickly, and a female will prefer healthy offspring over offspring that is not healthy. Now let's say I have hatchlings and a major threat shows up, so a trio of DAS or an apex carnivore. Now, you hear that 4-call, these babies are instinctively going to run for the bushes, and me as a parent, I'm going to abandon them. I'm going to say, see you later, bye. You run to the bush, I run away. And I'm going to hope that my kids survive. Okay? Because, hey, look, I can always create more. Especially when they're that young, you haven't really put a lot of time investment into them. So, it's better to just go. And eventually, has the coast cleared? It seems safe. And eventually, I'll come over and I'll collect my offspring. It's safe to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
If they are actively being attacked, though, you can defend them. If they
actively
haven't
being
been spotted, then they would want to run into a bush. Well, spotted, as in
generally
being attacked.
You can be a little bit more liberal with the 4-calls if you have tiny little babies in the herd, especially if you are a mother. You might 4-call if you spot, especially if your kids are hatchlings, you might 4-call if you spot a medium carnivore and be like, hey, baby's in the bushes, They haven't quite picked up on those more subtle bits of body language, like the pawing and the kicking. So 4 calls are the best way to tell your kids, hey, get in the bushes. And that's generally the best way to protect them. If your kids are attacked, you may freely defend them, as we mentioned. Again, the whole 2 if it's your offspring, 1 if it's an adoptee. Babies instinctively hide in bushes up until what you'd say late juvie, adolescent.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
when they're
that's
adolescent,
generally...
they're not going to rely on bushes, really.
Yeah, because they're too big. Paras are generally very dedicated mothers. Mothers work as a collective, but mostly focus on their own children. So while you might travel more closely with other females who are also mothers, you're still going to be mostly focusing on your own kids.
We have restart in 5.
Oh, time to gun through this then. Females may accidentally pick up an extra baby if they aren't paying attention. They may ditch babies. Like I mentioned, you're going to be prioritizing healthy offspring, so you're going to ditch any that don't appear healthy. Well, so I'm going to make you out on it, but... Okay. So,
you're not really in any danger.
Yeah, no, don't worry.
And even if you do get rolled back, we've been sitting here a minute. I think
Yeah.
you're fine.
Females are particularly stubborn in the presence of their offspring. And so if I have offspring and I see another female is at a bush, I may be a bit more, pushy. Like, hey, let my kids eat. They're going to try and make sure that the babies eat before the adults. For the most part. Again, females take on the bulk of childcare. Meanwhile, males, they may, kind of watch over the kids on occasion, maybe a little bit, but generally they are more focused on their own thing, getting more females, having more babies. They might check in on their females that they've already mated with, check on the offspring and see, like, oh, how are these kids doing? They're doing good?